What's going on, guys? Maddie Daddy Mining here. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. So today we are going to do some KS0 overclock testing. So I did upgrade my KS0 to the web GUI firmware upgrade from TSwift, and with this one I am averaging about 160 to 165 gigahash. So now, with that being said, there are some other different overclocks. So each of these run different overclocks and different power draws. There were a couple people out there who wanted me to try out each and see what we get for overclocks and see what we get for power. So let's do that. First thing we're going to do is download all of these files, and of course I will leave the links to all of these in the description below. So let's get this going. Download. Sure, there's probably a faster way to just do all these at once, but oh well. Oh well. Okay, so 160, 150, 140, 120. Okay, ooh, cool. Creeping almost up to 170. I almost don't even want to touch it. Oh well, though, for the sake of testing, why not? Okay, so first I'm going to save all of these in a file share. I have one for TSwift already. So I'm going to put these in a file structure real quick. You don't need to see me do that. Okay, got everything saved. I have the original one that I got from TSwift, and then all of the other ones here. Okay, so we're sitting at about 168 gigahash right now on TSwift's, and power draw is 114 watts. So let's I think I'm going to start with the 120 actually instead of the 160. Okay, I just rebooted the KS0. I have not done a different firmware on it yet. I unplugged it and I plugged in my watt meter. The previous power that I mentioned previously, about the 114 watts, was just from a previous video that I did regarding TSwift's upgrade. So it's been up for a couple of minutes. I'm not going to wait for it to actually start registering. I mean, it's registering on my node already. So let's go to firmware upgrade, select file, go to share. And we are going to start with the 120 because this kind of seemed to be the one that people were requesting most. So, okay, fingers crossed. Here we go. Okay, operation succeeded. Cool. Yes, let's reboot, and we will be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, we are back up. So I'm going to let this run for about 30 minutes to an hour, something like that, and we'll let the hash rate stabilize, and we'll see what type of wattage we are getting. Okay, it's been a little bit longer than half hour. I actually let it run for about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours, 2 hours and 10 minutes actually. And it looks like we have settled to about 128 gigahash. Now keep in mind, this is me mining to my node and not a pool. The previous overclocks, I was mining to two miners for a little bit, and that seemed to settle at about, I'd say 150, 155, sometimes with spikes up to 160, 165, but for the most part it settled to about 155. Versus my node before, where I settled at about 165. So I would say take 5 or 10 gigahash off this, and that would be your equivalent to pool mining. So 122, 120, something in there, which is about what they're stating that we are supposed to be getting on this firmware, which is the 120 version. And as always, you know, your mileage may vary, you know, from device to device. So let's check the wattage real quick. I'll see you in just a second on my phone. All right, here we are on the phone. I wish this thing had a backlight. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. So 85, 86 watts is what we were showing. So that's not bad at all. All right, I'll see you back at the computer. Okay, we just checked out the wattage. We're sitting at about 85 or 86 watts. And yeah, that's not bad for that right there. Also, that wattage also includes 5 watts for my my external USB fan. So really, we're looking at about 80 watts, really. So for those of you who are wanting to upgrade minimally like that, and you're worried about your power supply and what power supply should you use, I would still, again, highly suggest against using the 90 watt if that's what you have. If you have the 120 watt power supply, then yes, that one would be okay to use. You are still within the 80% rule. At 85 watts, you're at about 70% usage. So you are okay to use the 120 watt. And as all my my previous videos, I will leave links in the description to the 120 watt power supply if you want to go that route. And I will leave one for the 180 watt. I actually found a cheaper 180 watt power supply than the first one that I had. I want to say it's like 15 or 20 bucks cheaper. So that will be in the description as well. Okay, so that will be in the description as well. Let's move on and let's test the next one. Okay, back in the web interface, user interface, whatever, what have you. Where do I want to go? Firmware upgrade, holy crap. Okay, so let's back out of this. Let's try the 140 and see what happens there. Update. Okay, operation succeeded. Yes, let's reboot. Operation succeeded again for the reboot. I'll be back with you in just 1 second again once it's back online. All right, we are back. So I've let this thing run for about an hour now, and it looks like we've settled into about 133, 134, somewhere in that range. As I said previously, I am mining to my node, and if you are going to be pool mining, expect to maybe see 5 gigahash less, somewhere in there. Possibly, I mean, like I said earlier also, your results may vary on your device. This is just what I've seen personally. When mining to my node versus mining to pool, I see slightly less on the pool side. So with that said, let's go check the wattage real quick, and then I will see you on the phone in just a second. Okay. So we're sitting at about 95, 97 watts. Again, I do have my 5 watt external fan on there, so really we're probably sitting about 92 watts right now. Okay, well, I will see you back at the computer. Okay, we saw about 95 or 97 watts at the wall. So at 97 watts, if you are using a 120 watt power supply, you are right at that 80% rule for your power supply. So the 120 watt power supply thus far is absolutely fine. So let's move on to the next one. Alrighty, on to the next upgrade. So 150 it is. Select file, update. Operation succeeded. Confirm restarting the machine. Okay, yes, of course. Operation succeeded. And I'll see you back in a sec. Well, I just wanted to share with you guys that in 10 minutes of running this, if I can scroll up, I hit a block. Yay! Yay for hitting a block. Woohoo! Okay, so it's only been 10, 11 minutes, so I'm going to let this bake for a little bit longer to see if we can get a better reading. See you in a bit. Okay, we are coming up on almost an hour here, and it looks like our hash rate has stabilized to about 155 gigahash. I still think that's pretty badass that I hit a block like right after starting this. That's awesome. It's been several days since I've hit a block. Actually, I think maybe even longer than that, maybe upwards of a week. So I moved both of my KS0s to the pool, to the 2 miners pool. So that's pretty cool to hit a block. There she is right there. Yay! Yay for blocks. Okay, anywho. So, yep, we've stabilized at about 155, so I'm going to see you back on the phone here in just a second. We're going to check and see what our power is. Alrighty. Back again. So about 110, 114, 112, 110, 114, so, yep. And again, that's plus or minus 5 watts for my my USB fan, my Noctua USB fan. All right, I'll see you back at the computer. Alrighty, last test. Let's do it. So what I'm going to do first, I've been doing this off camera, but what I'm going to do first is I'm going to kill my bridge so everything is fresh when it comes back up. Bridge be gone. Firmware upgrade, select a file. Now to 160. Update. Operation succeeded. Confirm restarting the machine. Absolutely. Operation succeeded again. Okay, now that that is rebooting, I'm going to launch my bridge. And I will wait for this to connect, and we'll give it another hour or so, and I'll be back with you. See you in a bit. All right, we are at right about an hour, and it looks like our hash rate has stabilized to about 158, 159 gigahash. So real quick, let's go check on the power. All righty. We are sitting at about 112, 114 watts. All righty. Well, we'll see you back at the computer and we'll do some comparing. Okay, so our test is complete. I threw together this little spreadsheet real quick, so let's go over it. So the baseline that I had, I started with TSwift's overclocks, and I had an average hash rate of 165. If you remember, it was kind of going between like 163, 164, all the way up to like 168. So I just put it in the middle at 165, and the wattage of that was 114. So the efficiency of that is 1.44 gigahash per watt. So the next one we tested was the 120 overclock, and I averaged a hash rate of 128 at 85 watts. So this one right here is actually the most efficient of all of the overclocks. So this one has an efficiency of 1.5 gigahash per watt. And then the efficiency starts to go down from there. So at the 140, we get a hash rate of 134, wattage of 96, and a efficiency of 1.39 gigahash per watts. So this one right here, this is the absolute, ignore this top one here, but when you're doing the lower overclocks, the 140 right here is the highest you can overclock without going over your 120 watt power supply. So it sits at 96 watts, and that puts you at it right at the 80%. So if you're at the 90 watter, I would not suggest overclocking at all. Obviously you can't because you're at 96 watts. But even at the 120, I still would not suggest overclocking with 90 watt power supply. You know, if you're at this point, you know, I mean, you can overclock up to here, and if you want to go higher, then obviously I would highly suggest ordering the 180 watt power supply. So let's move on. So the 150, I averaged 155 hash rate, a wattage of 112, efficiency of 1.38 gigahash per watts. And again, that's highly suggested that you use the 180 watt. And then the last one, the 160, I averaged a hash rate of 159, wattage of 113, and an efficiency of 1.4 gigahash per watts. Again, 180 watt power supply is what I highly suggest. For those of you who are wanting to upgrade all the way up to the 160, 165 hash rate, like I've been saying through this whole damn thing, protect your investment, protect yourselves. You know, definitely err on the side of caution and be safe. That's the, you know, the number one rule in this game is mining. You got to do it safe. And the close second is make money. Okay, safety first, money in a close second. Okay. So with that being said, if you're going to go up to 160 hash rate, I highly suggest getting that 180 watt power supply. In the previous video, I think I said this earlier. It's been a long day doing all these tests. I don't remember half the shit I have been going over. But I think I might have said earlier that I did come across a cheaper 180 watt power supply. I think the first one that I posted was like $53 or something like that. And I believe this new one that I found is like 37 or 39 or 42 or I don't know, something in there. It's cheaper. And it is actually the same brand as the 120 watt that I was advertising earlier. So it's the 180 watt version of that. 180 watt version of the 120. So also, if you think you need some extra cooling, I also have a link below to the Noctua fan, and also some extra screws that you will need, some thicker screws to get it screwed in. So the question is which overclock will I be using? I mean, right here, this overclock right here, I mean, the efficiency, I mean, that's That's badass right there. That's awesome. 128 gigahash for 85 watts. That's great. But with, the small difference of wattage being, 85 watts to 114 watts, this is a numbers game. I'm definitely here to make the most Casper that I possibly can. So I will be sticking with TSwift's firmware. I feel like that is the better one. Higher hash rate at pretty much the exact same hash rate as higher hash rate for pretty much the same wattage as below. You can't beat it. There were some people in previous videos that I posted that said they were having some issues accessing Discord to download this file. So I've done you guys a favor. I have uploaded it to my Google Drive, and I will put a link for that in the description below. And yeah, that'll be about it. Everybody have a wonderful rest of the day, and we will catch you next time.